So excited.
Matthias was born in Yugoslavia.
Yes.
The part we know today is Bosnia,
No,
right? No?
Croatia. I'm Bosnian, Croatian, Serbian.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And in 1992, during the times of the Balkan Wars, you came to Germany
Yes.
and studied acting at Film University Babelsberg.
Mm-hmm.
You have worked at Maxim Gorki Theater in Berlin, as well as in China, Taiwan, Israel, Poland,
Frankfurt,
France,
Stuttgart,
Mexico,
Zurich.
Serbia, Bosnia,
Yes.
all over the world.
The big stage is done.
You're a playwright and a journalist and an actress, of course, and director. I was just about to say it. Your debut movie Berlin Ha Ha Harlequin, debuted in 2019.
No,
Not yet. It's finished, but not
No.
released.
There will come something.
You explain.
No, I don't want to explain.
You have a text for us that was written by yourself,
Yes.
and it was published in Zeit in the newspaper under the title Wütende Frau mit Migrationshintergrund.
Yes.
Angry woman with migration background.
I did not choose it. This the newspaper.
I thought so.
Yeah.
But the text is yours.
Yeah.
And we hear it from
Yes.
you. Thank you.
Thank you a lot. Hello, everybody. Hope you're having fun with sex, drugs, and rock and roll here. So I will read now this text. You hear me? Yes. I'm 5 years old and have been sitting in a pine green Volkswagen Golf 1 for hours. There are 6 of us. It's hot. We don't have air conditioning in the car. We only have ourselves and an uncertain future. We are not allowed to stop because I have to stay hidden. It's hot as hell. Grandma is sweating between her legs, and there I am with my child's body under her skirt. At the border guard orders my mom and my aunt, the driver and passenger, to get out of the car. I don't have a passport and are therefore completely illegal and therefore under Grandma's skirt, who sits in the back. The border guard searches with his hand under the driver's seat. I stop breathing. He hears my breathing, I think. I see his hand. He scans the ground in front of me extensively. My feet and my baby warm body have fused to the rear one-seater golf seat, so he can't find my little feet, which are cold despite the heat, even though his hand is always only a few centimeters away from them. I hear something being very loud. I realize it's me. I try to stop my heart, but a 5-year-old cannot do that right away. He stops looking. My mom and aunt sit back in the car. We survived. Germany, here we come. Hello, asylum seekers home. And then I sat there, an illegal, emancipated child in a foreign country whose language she did not understand. I get a stamp on my forehead, refugee. From then on, I was no longer an individual. I belonged to the homogenized mass of refugees. I was made passive and captivated and squeezed into the refugee mold. And this word has not disappeared to this day. It was tattooed on my forehead and has been transformed several times over the years. After the word refugee came the foreigner, and currently I am a woman with migration background. The migration background is particularly visible in my job as an actress. I am mostly offered stereotypical roles. Eastern prostitute who speaks broken English/German, cleaning lady who speaks little or not at all, Roma who wears colorful dresses that don't all harmonize in color. For a long time I was very frustrated that the film and theater world viewed me as an un-German meat product despite having studied acting. Whenever we enter a certain time, namely that of social renewal, those who have been made into outsiders should legitimize themselves. Gays and lesbians need to explain what it means to be gay and why it's okay to be that way. Women need to educate men about feminism. People of color need to explain to white people what racism is. It was an energy-sucking downward spiral for me, like having to explain to a friend's mother at the Christmas table that my family and I don't belong to the indigenous natives, just because I know how to open a nut with a knife. Or having to argue with left-wing intellectuals who don't find it racist to use the N-word because Brecht used it in his plays. I no longer have the capacity to give my education and time to privileged white people just because they are ignorant. For these people, I'm always the other, an alien. I don't belong to the circle of Germans because of my brand as a refugee. I took a look at the word that is never borne by the inhabitants of the dominant first world, refugee. Let's have a closer look at the German word refugee, Flüchtling, which is called Flüchtling. The suffix ling usually has a diminutive effect. Other German examples for the suffix are Lehrling, Pfifferling, which would be in English trainee, chanterelle, which is a small mushroom. And the ending in mostly has a negative connotation in German. You can see it in the words like Fiesling, Miesling, or also Sträfling, which is somebody who is nasty or mean or just a convict. The same logic of discrimination in language we can find in the word Häuptling, which is a German word for indigenous chief. I also asked myself, when my mom, grandma, aunt, and all the other women who came to Germany, at what point did we all actually get penises? Or is there a feminine word for refugees, something like Flüchtlingerin, Flüchtlingin? The system in which we live is still a rigid structure. In one of the means of this system is language. Through language, people are subconsciously pigeonholed and subjugated. Names aren't just smoke and mirrors, and especially if your name doesn't have German DNA, you're less likely to get an apartment. All power comes from the state, but we are not all equal before the law. I remember how we had to get to the town hall every 3 months to extend our tolerated stay permit. My entire family had to carry this toleration document on their body all times, every second. One day, however, my disabled uncle forgot his tolerance papers. It was a mild sunny afternoon, and my uncle, 2 meters tall, mentally at the level of a 7-year-old child. His left side is larger and thicker than his right. Very introverted and affectionate, was walking along. Even from a distance, it was impossible to miss that this boy is a handicapped and has a personalized character. Two police officers stopped him, took him away, and looked him up. My family looked for him everywhere and called the police stations. We were finally informed early in the morning, and Grandma and aunt picked him up. He had been defected several times in his prison clothes. Afterwards, he was completely disturbed, and he still trembles when he sees police officers or police cars. Once he didn't have his tolerated stay permit with him, and the Franconian toughness don't stop at the handicapped. That day I understood what toleration really means, and also that we were the ones who had to endure, bear with it, put up with it. My uncle was the one who was the most happy when the deportation mail weighing kilos arrived. These people sacrificed a whole tree for us to accommodate all these paragraphs. I feel like a major criminal, my aunt giggled, survival strategy, and was gone with the rest of my family. They weren't major criminals, but they weren't among the good, useful refugees. But my mom and I were among the good ones, and we were allowed to stay because my mom studied medicine and there weren't enough nurses in Erlangen. So she became one, and we stayed within the German border. I don't fully understand the insistence on borders, and even less understand why we accept walls and fences. As a result, we lock ourselves in and stagnate in our development. We deprive ourselves of natural progress because mass migrations have always taken place and humanity would not have survived without them. As long as we have walls on earth, we also have them in our heads. I want to be free. I don't need roots to be protected by fences. My family was persecuted for several generations, and perhaps there's no such thing as home for me. I never wanted to afford the luxury of a home. However, as a new German, but without a German passport, I could explain to AfD supporters what it means to be German. I'm a concerned citizen because I wonder whether these old Germans can still be integrated. Quote, yes, Hans, a German can also wear an afro. No, Joachim, a German does not have to be born in Germany. Quote ending. They simply didn't understand that the Aryan train had left. Finito, kein Foto für euch, wie Heidi Klum sagen würde. I've always had a spot for stuck people, but I used to sometimes lose hope and imagine myself getting revenge on those people. I carried these feelings of destruction within me for years, and I became increasingly grumpy because such dark thoughts weighed more than colorful, happy ones. But then when I was on a drug trip, I was chatting with my buddy Flaubert, and he said, the whole dream of democracy is to raise the proletariat to the level of stupidity that the bourgeoisie has already reached. Now I'm in the process of freeing myself from the chains that were put on me when I came to Germany. That's why I would rather hug all the AfD sympathizers today and gently lead them to my chest and squirt some of my beautiful warm breast milk into these cold creatures' mouths and whisper in their ears, my little mouse, you don't need to be afraid. I want to take something away. I don't want to take something away from you. Don't be afraid. Just be afraid when I drive my car because my driver's license is stolen.